Dane Clark, come on out, my friend.
Well, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. And it's an honor to be here as well. I met Mitch, 5, 6 years ago, something like that. And
Dude, we were working at Apple together in 2011. It's been 9 years.
Oh my gosh, that's right. It has been 9, 10 years. Holy cow. But yeah, like the place that I came from, if I just give you a little bit of backstory, I mean, I grew up on a dairy farm, and I mean, I milked cows at 3:30 in the morning for more of my life, more than half of my current life. And I never developed personal skills in the milk barn, because you don't talk to people the same way that you talk to cows. Let me put my phone on do not disturb here, because this is going to go off. You just don't develop those personal skills, and literally all the way to the point where my own mother, and Mitch actually knows my own mom used to call me painfully shy. And that even graduated to when Mitch and I worked at the Apple store. Mitch worked in the front, where all the good looking people, no, I was kidding. I say that because the woman who eventually became my wife also worked in the front, but that's where Mitch and I met. And I worked in the back. I mean, they didn't even have enough confidence in me to talk to people in the front. They put me in the back, and I counted iPhones. And I was so shy that the woman who became my wife, I met her at Apple as well. And I had the hots for her, and somehow girls just know. I don't know how they know, but I mean, we probably give it away as guys, but whatever. At the end of the day, she comes up to me one day and she's like, dude, are you going to ask me for my number or what? And so you want to know how we got engaged as well? I won't tell you that story, but
I didn't know that.
Was kind. Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, she's like, I was counting iPhones at the time, and she walks up and she's like, so you're gonna ask me for my number or what? And oh, it was hilarious. Anyway, so coming from that mindset to in fact, last Wednesday, I picked up my 100th real estate investment property in the last 5 years.
Heck yeah.
And awesome. basically since and I count the day. I count from the day that I sat down and Mitch is like, Dane, you got to get educated, man. And I'm just like, what are you talking about, Mitch? Get educated. Because I saw Mitch doing deals. I saw Mitch, I followed him for a little while, and I saw him doing deals. And I was like, Mitch, I want to buy this property. Can you give me 5 pointers? He's like, dude, you got to get educated. And so I count the day when I handed Mitch my credit card and I said, Mitch, this better freaking work, man. This better work. I'm going to be pissed. And so from that day, in fact, in 5 days, that will mark 5 years. It was November 15th of 2015. And it was interesting, because I remember thinking like, all right, I got to get educated. I got to learn stuff. And so I put in the time and I learned stuff, but I didn't talk to any people. But let me give you a hint. In fact, write this down. If you guys take anything from what I will share with you tonight, in going from not even knowing what a realtor was to doing 100 investment properties, it's that all wealth is created through conversation. And I had to figure that out. Because I remember thinking like, Mitch, I watched a bunch of classes. Where's the deals? Where's all the deals? Where's all the money? And I had to learn, like, oh my gosh, like I need to learn how to communicate with people. And so, and I remember thinking like, again, because I had never bought a house in my life. Whatever. But I remember early on thinking like, all right, the first time I do anything, it is going to be the hardest, always. And so I just said, I'm just going to take that for as a rule of thumb. Every time I do something hard, it's only because it's the first time. And so I remember the first time, because I told Mitch, in fact, you might think this is funny, Mitch, but I originally tell Mitch, hey, dude, I want to get into rental properties because I want cash flow. I want my wife to stay at home with the kids, and I want passive cash flow. And then I saw Mitch flipping a bunch of houses, and so then all wealth is created the conversation. Yeah, through conversation.
That's great. That's a good quote.
Same thing. I'm trying to remember what I was saying. Oh, I remember Mitch was flipping all these houses. So then I was like, cool. I should flip houses then. If I can give anybody advice, whatever you originally thought you wanted to do, study that one out and go after that. Don't just flip houses because the next guy is flipping houses. Because when I first got started, yeah, I did flip a few homes, and I just did it because I thought that's what everybody should do, and that's what Mitch was doing. And so I remember making my, back to the first. I remember making my first offer, and it was the hardest. And I walk up to these, this couple, and I even remember calling Mitch a couple times, like, all right, dude, I'm gonna go walk through this house. What should I tell him? He's like, oh, tell him you'll pay cash. I'm like, oh, I don't have the cash. And doing that for the very first time in my life by telling this lady that that had just inherited this home. It was really ugly. It was a piece of junk, whatever. She wanted to sell it to cash out her inheritance, whatever. And I tell this lady for the first time in my life, like, yeah, I'll buy it and I'll pay cash. and at the end of the day, I mean, it just scared the crap out of me. And, I can't even remember how many times I had to do that until finally somebody was like, yeah, we'll take your offer. In fact, if you remember Jordan Meadows, Mitch, I'm trying to remember. No. Jordan Meadows was found through Scott Rabin. The other one, Beaumont. This house on Beaumont Way, or something like that. I was
Dane, he actually uses that as an example all the time.
And oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, I still use it in the 4 pillars.
Anyway, I was talking to a realtor. Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
That deal is like, I remember that deal like I remember the first time I kissed my wife. It's like, that one's, maybe not quite that high, but it's up there. But anyway, I remember that second deal that finally, like, somebody was like, yeah, I'll take your offer and you guys can, you can pay cash. I remember like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? But here's the thing. If you want to light a fire under your butt, because again, all wealth is built through conversation, you start structuring those conversations in a way where you start telling people that you're going to do something, even if you've never done it before. Or even if, like, for example, if I told this couple, or through the realtor, essentially, I told them I would buy their house for $275,000. And I said I'd pay cash. I didn't have the cash. I didn't have the crew. I didn't have, I had no idea what I was going to do. But because I had done that several times, it was almost as if every time I got a little bit farther and a little bit farther and a little bit farther. And then finally somebody's like, yeah, I'll take your offer. And then I was like, crap. It lit that fire under my butt to go have conversations with people about, hey, you ever consider, in fact, here's my favorite question. Right, write this one down because this one has led to millions of dollars. In fact, I'll look it up. I'll give you guys an exact number as to what this has led to. This one question has led to raising from other people, because again, I was freaking coming from off the roof. This one question has led to raising $17.67 million that I have actually put into real estate to date, actually bought properties to the tune of that dollar amount, because I started off a question like, hey, have you ever considered getting involved in real estate investing? Right. In fact, Mitch, can I share my screen? Are you guys cool if I?
Yeah, you're a co-host already. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So here, let me share. And
let me say, Dane, while you're doing that, I've asked that question a lot, and it's such a great way to gauge their interest in real estate investing and find potential lenders and money partners. And so I just wanted to support that question to everybody else. It's so good.
Yes. All right. Can you guys see? Okay. Also, in fact, I think I took this from Mitch, actually. In fact, Mitch, was it you that told me that all business, all wealth is built through conversation, but all business is started on a napkin. Did I get that one from you, Mitch, or
I think that's a Bob Snyder
did I
quote.
just like make that up?
That sounds
okay.
like a Bob Snyder quote.
All business is started on a napkin. I used to literally carry around. In fact, I still have it. Where's my? I think my bag is out in the kitchen. I would carry around my bag, a little folder that had paper in it, and I would carry around a pen. And whenever I was going to sit down and like mastermind or make an offer on a house, I would sit and draw like, hey, here's what we should do, right? Because again, all business is started on a napkin. And I finally talked to Mitch into, I said, hey, Mitch, if I bring a couple of deals, right, we close a couple of deals and I get you paid, is there any way that you would help me buy the most expensive napkin known to man that I will never wipe my nose with? And I got my iPad, and no, I have never wiped my nose with it, but notice that I keep every single conversation that I have ever had with somebody. In fact, here, let me just pick a few of these here real fast. Let's see. Debbie Vogel. I met this gal, and I'm going to talk about this in just a minute. I met this gal back in May this year. And again, the conversation started with, hey, Debbie, you ever considered getting involved in real estate investing? And the conversation went down this path where Debbie has given me 200, let's see, I think I even write it down right here. Yep. She's given me $250,000 of her cash to go and buy any real estate I want, as long as it's a good deal, right? And so I save all of those conversations. I suggest that you do the same, because then you give yourself feedback and you can go back through and be like, hey, why did this guy not, I mean, I happen to know this guy, we never did any business together. I've done business together with these guys, never did any business with this guy. But I've done deals with these people, right? And talked about this, right? So anyway, let's talk about this. If I add a page, I think I need to go, okay. So because all wealth is built through conversation, and like Tyson said, every conversation is going to lead to something a little bit different, right? And so here's my formula. I know that every single human, as long as they are inside of the United States, because real estate law outside is very different, and I don't really care to know, but any human that is inside of the United States is going to have a relationship to real estate, right? I already know that, right? And you can, I mean, I could go through this entire room and ask everybody, like, what's your relationship? What, have you ever considered getting into real estate investing? Why? What have you tried, right? Stuff like that. So because I know that everybody's going to have a relationship to real estate, it's my job to be or your job, I should say, mine and your job to be a detective. That's it. We are detectives to figure out what their relationship is. And when you figure that out, you can raise money. You can find deals. In fact, I'll break down one of the deals that I'm buying on Friday this week. I mean, amazing deal, just because I had a conversation with one guy that led to a conversation with another guy. And then that, like, whoa, tell me more about that. And then the guy's like, have you met Dane? and we're buying a house on Friday that will cash flow very nice. And I'll show you this one. It's awesome. But anyway, real estate. Now there's 4 relationships that every human is going to have. And I'll talk about little sub relationships. At the end of the day, in fact, let's talk about Debbie. Debbie starts with let's talk about that Debbie gal. When I asked Debbie that question, when I started asking about real estate, in fact, here, let me back up a little bit. Here's my formula. Here's how I become to find deals and find professionals like Tyson was talking about, right? It's very simple. You start asking questions for the people you're talking to, right? I like to ask them, where are they from? Or I should say, or tell me about the family. O is occupation. You seem like a super sharp guy. What do you do for work? and I love to hear about what they're doing, right? And then R is recreation. I don't usually recreation, something like that, whatever, sound it out. You guys know what I'm talking about. I don't usually get to that one because I can turn the conversation to real estate very easily, very, very quickly. In fact, here, let's practice this. Jason Howard, you got your camera on. You okay if I ask you to come off of mute and
Sure.
And be real, okay? So Jason, really nice to meet you, man. Where are you from?
I'm from Cleveland.
Cleveland, nice. I have always wanted to visit Ohio. Never been. Is it worth it?
There's parts.
Yeah.
There's some parts.
Cool.
There's some that you wouldn't want to go to, but yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, probably sounds like Utah. Okay. Family situation. You got wife, kids, bachelor, like tell me what's going on with the family.
Yeah, I married up. I got a sweet lady. She's pretty and smarter than me, so I got lucky. And then I got 2 kids that I get to
oh my gosh,
be very proud of. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's super cool, man. 2 kids, boy, girl. How old?
Little boy, well, not little anymore. Sort of big boy and sort of big girl. They're like teenagers now. Ethan,
oh, dude, are you old? Are you old enough to have teenagers?
I am. Yeah, I know.
Dude, tell me, I need to get some of that Ohio water. Dude, you look good, man. To have teenagers as kids. Yeah, exactly. You seem like a super sharp guy. What do you get to do for work every day?
I'm a film guy. I'm a filmmaker. So
Really?
We have a film production company and we shoot all kinds of things. Yeah, so it's fun. And I'm a real estate. How long you been doing that? I'm a real estate entrepreneur as well.
Love it, man. Okay. Now, if you didn't say that, I was going to figure out a way to say the words real estate and investing right after that, right? And I was already formulating it in my mind. And I didn't really have anything, but if I don't have anything, here's what I actually do. I'm like, cool, that is so cool, man. You know, being in the film production industry, you know, I know a few people that do that. In fact, I just found my story, right? So if you notice what I'm doing, I'm trying to find stories or people or anybody that relates that to real estate. And actually, I know a guy that's what he does. He has his day job. He travels the world and does film and photography and you know, media type of stuff. But what really pays his bills and allows him to travel around and do that kind of stuff is his real estate. And in fact, what he likes to do is storage units. And so he's got storage units. So Jason, have you ever considered getting involved in real estate investing? Bam. Right? Of course you're going to say yes.
Yeah. Tell me more about your friend.
Exactly, right? So you figure out any way. I don't care what you say before it. I don't care what you say after it. Your job is to bring up the words real estate investing, right? That's it. Because at that point, Jason's going to start telling me like, why is he interested? You know, probably saw somebody, whatever. But then he's going to start uncovering what Jason's relationship to real estate. And it's going to be one of 4. I already know what Jason's is just listening to him. And you're gonna spot it here in just a minute. In fact, Jason, let me know when you see it. Okay, so let's talk about Debbie though. I asked Debbie the same questions. Yada yada. I say real estate investing, and you know what she says to me? She's like, "Oh my gosh, I have been investing, Dane. I've been investing in real estate for longer than you've been alive." And she started telling me her life story about all these properties she bought and how over the course of 10, 20 years they doubled or tripled in value. She sold them all. She paid them all off. She's got millions of dollars in the bank and she's grown into commercial real estate. And then I say this, I say, man, sounds like life has just been awesome for you in the real estate world. Right? I call this pendulum theory, but we don't have to go into that. In essence, I'm like, man, sounds like everything is amazing. And she's like, she goes the exact opposite way. She's like, actually, I hate it. I was like, tell me more. Right. And she's like, I'm dealing with tenants all the time. I'm dealing with, she's like, I got a commercial property right now. And I think we're going to start some kind of lawsuit because they want this. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And anyway, so she's just like, I hate tenants. And I said, Debbie, have you ever considered becoming a bank? And instead of being a landlord dealing with tenants and babysitting, I mean, she just told me that she's got millions of dollars. And I'm like, have you ever considered becoming a bank in real estate? And I mean, I know people that make double-digit interest. In fact, all the people that I either follow, or let's say I've never done a deal and I'm trying to raise money, because now I know I've placed Debbie. I call these people the passive. In fact, here, let's put her in a box. Let's put Debbie in I call it the passive box. Okay. And so I talked to Debbie and I say, have you ever considered being a bank and making double-digit interest by just sitting back and twiddling your thumbs, never having to deal with tenants? And she's like, no, I didn't know I could do that. I was like, well, and you guys saw that little conversation, and I start talking to her about investing in real estate, and here's what I'm doing, and here's what I'm looking for. Right now, remember when I said the first one is always the hardest? The first guy I ever had this conversation with, not only did it scare the freaking bonkers out of me because I didn't know what I was doing and I was scared out of my mind, but when he saw the plan, and all I had to do was show him a deal. Here's what I'm looking for. And at the end of the day, here's the phrase. You want to get this person to say one question. Cool, Debbie. If I could produce, right, obviously you present the plan and really just show them a deal, your deal, somebody else's deal, I don't care. Show them a deal. Show them something that you're analyzing. Show them something that you've made an offer on, or if you've already done a deal, then yeah, show them a deal that you've done. That's use that credibility. But again, remember, the first one's the hardest. And so the first one I ever did, I just showed them a deal that I analyzed. And at the end of the conversation, you want them to say yes to this question. Cool, Debbie. So if I can find a deal that fits like this, would you like to look at my next deal with me? And let's see if we can team up and take this thing down together. And she's like, yeah. So basically that, do you want to look at deals with me? AKA be a bank. And so that one question has raised all those $17 million, right? Let's move on to the next person.
Real quick, I'm just gonna interject.
Go ahead, brother.
So if you guys have questions for Dane has a hard cutoff at about 10 minutes to the hour. So if you have questions for Dane, feel free to jump off mute and just interrupt. We're gonna do the question and answer on the fly today.
Cool. And if I need to come back, I can come back, and we could do this again and finish this out. So no worries. Like one thing that, I mean, if you guys already haven't noticed this about Mitch, and mark my words, everybody on this call, mark my words, when you begin having success, it will be inevitable that you will want to turn around and share that with somebody else, right? Am I right or am I right? You will have this internal desire to be like, somebody needs to know this, right? I've been bitten by that bug where, I mean, every opportunity I have to share with somebody else to be like, hey, here's how I made, here's how in fact, I was talking to Mitch about this just the other day. I have not yet had $100,000 month. I've had a few $96,000 months in net profit, real estate deals. But when you experience stuff like that, it's inevitable. People want to help people, and you'll turn around and be like, hey, let me show you what I did. And anyway, you guys get it. I digress. So next type of person, you go through the thing, how's the family, how's the friend, nice to meet you, whatever, yada, yada. I mean, this could be people that you talk to every day. Hey, how's the family doing, right? But, in fact, one of the first guys I ever talked to, I was like, I actually don't even know what you do for work. And then led it into real estate investing. Now, these people are the ones that you uncover where they're like, dude, I really want to invest time, right? They actually don't say it like this, but they usually say like, oh my gosh, I want to flip houses too. Or, oh my gosh, I want to own rental properties too. Or holy cow, like I've always looked at real estate, right? These people want to invest time into real estate. Or there's the second key, and here, I'll just get this one out of the way really fast. I don't care if these people have money or if they don't have money. It does not matter to me. Here's the key to this box. And whoops, I already gave it away, active. Now, top of the food chain for people that want to actively be engaged in real estate investing. And this is where deals are going to flow to you. I mean, and from just what I'm sharing with you right now, in the last 60 days, I'll have picked up, I think 16 properties by just doing this, what I'm about to show you, okay? So top of the food chain in the active box, people that want to be involved in the real estate investing cycle, right? At the top of the food chain, you have the CEO mindset, right? And this is where I already pegged you, Jason. You're right here, brother, because you told me you're a real estate entrepreneur, AKA you want to spend time. You want to spend time actively engaged in the real estate investing industry. Now, you don't have to just be a CEO. You could be a realtor. You don't have to be a realtor, but you could hire realtors, right? I'm not a realtor. I hire realtors. In fact, I got a realtor on payroll. I pay him $16 an hour. You got title agents. You have attorneys. You've got contractors. You've got mortgage officers. You've got inspectors. You've got insurance agents. I don't care. Let's see, I already put attorney guy, CPA, any person that is going to serve a real estate investor, right? A CEO. You're going to hire them. Or there's some people that are like, hey, I'm a realtor, but I also invest. I'm also CEO of a little real estate investing side hustle, because if I can list it, I'll list it. But if I can buy it, I'll buy it. Right? And that works for some people, not required. But anyway, when you talk to more people and you find that they are also in the active box, you need to get excited. Because again, this is where all deals, I shouldn't say all deals, but this is where many deals flow. Let me explain. Realtor, the deal, wow, what time is it? 6:32. The deal that I hope I can share with you today came because I made a connection with a realtor that wants to serve investors like myself and like you. And I asked him questions and said, hey, whenever you run into situations like this, you probably don't make a realtor commission, but I would like to make that happen. And so whenever you run into certain types of situations, call me. I'll help you, right? Title agents. In fact, I'm meeting with an attorney tomorrow. Conversation went a little bit something like this, where she's like, I'm chatting with her. We're talking about real estate investing. She's like, oh my gosh, I am a probate attorney. I help people that inherit homes figure out what the heck to do with it. And so I ask her a question. I say, well, how often do they want to sell it? Or how often are they so emotionally attached to that property that they want to keep it, but they can't? And so I talked to her about a couple different options where I was like, hey, I will buy every single one. Obviously it has to work out for me. I don't run this as a charity, but I will buy every single property that runs through your probate as just like a guaranteed offer. Like guaranteed, I will make an offer on every property that comes through then the inheritance. And so that way you can just know, because you guys know how an attorney gets paid in probate, right? After they sell the house, the attorney gets paid out of the sale of the house. And so she's motivated. To her, I look like a dollar sign at the end of the day. And so that was option one. Option two was she's, because we talked about, a lot of these people, like they grew up there, they want to live there. And so the conversation that we're having tomorrow on this property is they don't have credit. They already do own a house, but they want to live in this house because they grew up there. And even though this house is a piece of junk, it's been run down by grandpa, it hasn't been taken care of it. They still want to move in, but their credit sucks. And so I'm looking at this thing like, how can I pick up a little bit of cash flow by coming in? Because I guarantee there's equity in this house. And if the person that wants to live there needs to buy out some of the other heirs, which that's the case here, then really like my equity position on this property, the numbers I was running just yesterday, I will have a 60% equity position essentially on this house and be able to make double digits on my money by picking up this house and letting this gentleman live there, because that's what he wants. Because dad lived there, he lived there, he's got emotional experiences, whatever, right? So you guys see, this brings me to box number 3, right? So box number 3 is people that have the properties, right? This is where we make our money as real estate investors. You got to have properties. And so at the end of the day, typically the people that are in this box, they need to have some kind of underlying problem, right? And if there's an underlying problem, like our person that I'm going to meet with tomorrow, he can't finance it. So there's a problem there. I can solve that. And so you'll notice that the key to finding properties is making friends with realtors, title agents, attorneys, right? Somebody raise your hand or give me a fist bump if you're just like, oh my gosh, like Dane, this is making sense, right? In finding deals. You don't have to go put signs on the side of the street. I used to do that, by the way. When my wife had our baby, our first kid, our kid would sleep in the back in his car seat. I would sit in the passenger seat. My wife would drive, and I would write signs that said, "I will buy your house. I'll pay cash. I'll make your payments, whatever." And in the middle of the night, she'd drop me off on the corner, and I go stick signs in the yard.
What kind of weird person would have you do a thing like that?
I don't know, but I remember getting the idea from Mitch. But you know what? It led me to some.
We got to a point. I gotta say this real quick. Dane and I got to a point where we were putting out 2,500 signs a month.
Oh my god!
Now we had more people, but we would go. We'd go to the sign shop and we'd buy a pallet of blank signs. And to save money, we'd write on them.
We'd have to go get a truck,
magic marker. Then we'd go put them up every night.
Yeah, but you know what? It worked, but it was a lot of work to make it work. People just call me and say, "Hey, remember when you were telling me about that thing? I think I got one. Can you buy this house? Can you help this guy?" And you know, whatever. Okay, so notice, and also when you're ready to do the deal, you're gonna call these people anyway and be like, "Hey, I need a title report. You know, hey, I need an attorney. Hey, I need a contractor. I need a property manager." In fact, I didn't even talk about this, but the property manager that I spoke with and made friends with and talked about real estate was the one who introduced me to Deb. You see how this works? Oh, amazing, powerful, absolutely powerful stuff. Okay, so when you find properties with a problem, that's where you're going to make your money. So I spend most of my time trying to meet other people that are either excited about real estate, that are CEOs, and they want to strategize or bounce ideas, right? But typically that they don't have deals, right? If I call up Mitch, "Hey Mitch, you find any deals this week?" Right? Mitch, "No, you find any deals?" Like, "No." All right. Well, talk to you next week. Like, you're not gonna find a deal that way. You got to go talk to the realtor, the title agent, the attorney. You know, you go have these conversations because all wealth is built through conversation, right? Anyway, I spend most of my time in that middle box, networking with those people, and it makes the phone ring where people are like, "Hey Dane, I got a problem," or "Hey, I know somebody who has a problem." Okay. Now let's talk about the last box though. This one is going to be near and dear to my heart, or is near and dear to my heart. These are the people that when you bring up the words or the phrase real estate investing, right? This may have already happened to some of you guys, and it may be familiar here, but these are the people that respond with like, "Dude, you're an idiot." Like, "You're gonna get into real estate investing? Like, dude, do you hear about 2008? Like, whatever. So many people lose money. Real estate investing, risky." I mean, all the things. I've heard them all, right? Doesn't matter to me. But these are the people that meet you with this negativity, the crab mentality. But you know why you want to love these people? right? By show of hands, who here has ever received a rent check from anybody before? Received a rent check, right? We love those people that pay us rent checks. You want to know who pays rent checks? People that are not interested in real estate investing. I love these people, right? Who here has ever flipped a house, cashed out on a paycheck on flipping a house, or even bought a house and sold it for more, even if you owned it for a few years, right? We love those people. Typically, people that pay retail value for homes are not interested in real estate investing, but we love them. You know why? Because they're the one who write the checks. They're the ones that make you rich. So we love these people, and that's fine. The cool thing about this is if anybody lands in this box, life happens to them. And in my experience, if people don't get involved in real estate investing, life's going to slap them in the face a few times, right? It did me. That's why it took me a year to call Mitch. In fact, if I even go back a year before, when I call Mitch and was like, hey, dude, I want to get into real estate. Mitch comes to me. He's like, dude, Dane, we should get into real estate together. And I was just like, dude, I don't know anything about real estate. Have fun with that. Get out of here. And, but a year later, it like bit me. Like, life happened. I had a couple of crazy things happen to me, and almost like lost my almost had to file bankruptcy and all this stuff. And so a year later, I'm like, you know what? Real estate, right? This happens to all these people. I shouldn't say all these people, but most of these people. It's just going to be a matter of time. Imagine, go talk to anybody about the stock market right now. They're thinking about, even though I've had these conversations before. Oh, Dane, like you can make 10% interest in real estate, be in the bank. I'm making 24% in my stock account right now with Microsoft, whatever. That's a true story, actually. And so I put this box. The guy's name is Darren. 24. Guess what he's making right now? Right. In fact, all the gain that he had, he's down. So yeah, I was making 24% back then, but I've been making double digits all along, right? Real estate, if you capitalize on the first check that the average American writes on the first day of the month, then you're in a good spot. I want to hold my hand out for that money, right? But those people, again, life's going to slap them in the face if they're not involved in real estate. And so then that guy's like, so funny. Come like April, I think it was April this year. He goes, hey, Dane, you still doing that real estate thing? I want to pull my money out of the market. I want to get into real estate, right? How can we do this? And we've actually done two deals together now. Or they go here, either way. But anyway, so tell me you guys are smelling what I'm stepping in here. That all wealth is created through conversation. You have no idea where that conversation is going to go with that person. But if you show up and in the back of your mind, and some of you are probably going to think this is hooky. I don't care. Look at my bank account. But if you have that conversation with that person and you tell yourself, Jason, I love you, and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to serve you, not in a weird way. I'm happily married and got 3 kids of my own. But if you show that genuine love for mankind, and I'm going to figure out how I can serve you, and you just become that detective and say, all right, I can help you. Let's do rainbow. Yeah, let's do rainbow colors. I can help you here. I can help you here. I can help you here. And if you're over here, don't worry, I still love you. And if you're over here in the not interested la la land, that's okay. I still love you because you make me rich. But when you master, and it actually doesn't take that much time or experiences to master that conversation. It just takes several mistakes, because you're going to go and have a conversation tomorrow and somebody's going to say something and you're going to be like, I don't know what to say to that, and then you learn. You come back and have a conversation, like on a Tuesday night, ask Mitch anything, be like, hey, somebody said this. What do I say to that? And then you learn, right? That's how it works. That's how I did it. I went out and made so many mistakes that I was like, aha, this is what you say to a Debbie that gets her to be like, literally, I met this lady for the first time in my life. And an hour later, she says, I like that. Can I give you $250,000 as a starter? I have more. If things go well, I get more. And I was like, sure. All right. The crazy thing about it is it's common now. It takes me an hour to be like, here's what we do. You in or you out. And people say, yeah, can I give you 100 grand, 200 grand? I mean, because at the end of the day, I love them and I'm going to figure out how to serve them at the end of the day. Okay, let's talk about a deal. So here's a property that I'm purchasing on Friday. Okay, and so the way I found this was conversation with a realtor. So conversation with a realtor, talked about like, and that here was the conversation. I said, hey, do you ever run into, you guys can use this all you want. This is a great way to pick up cash flow and not be a landlord. Okay, but realtor, hey, have you ever run into a situation where you're trying to help somebody buy a house and they're like, hey, we got to get you pre-qualified. And then they don't get pre-qualified and they have a down payment. They got a down payment, but the bank's not going to touch them. Maybe they're a business owner. Maybe they don't have a social security number, so they don't even have a credit score. Maybe they just quit their job or whatever, right? They have a down payment, but they can't go get traditional financing. And it's getting harder and harder to get traditional financing. So this is becoming more and more popular. So I tell this realtor, his name's Hector. I say, Hector, next time you run into that situation, if they meet those two criteria, they can make the payment to buy a house and they have a down payment. I don't care what their credit score looks like. Then call me and I will still see to it that you get a realtor commission to help this person. And I kid you not, he calls me back a week later and he says, hey, I think I got one. Like I got somebody. And so this person, his name is Miguel. And Miguel he runs a construction business. He doesn't have a social security number though. He's got what do they call that? An ITIN, tax identification number, something like that. So he's got an ITIN. And he's like, hey, Dane, I have a house or I have a down payment. I want to buy a house. I want to buy in this price range about 430,000. And I have $100,000 to put down on this house. And I'm like, tell me more. Nice to meet you, Miguel. What'd you say your last name? Like, no, just kidding. Because of course I showed up and I said, Miguel, I love you. I'm gonna figure out a way to help you. But at the end of the day, he's like, I got $100,000 and I can't get a loan to buy a house. And so here's what I tell him. I say, Miguel, how about you point at any house you want? I will buy it and I will turn around and sell or finance it to you. And he's like, okay, how about this one? And so this house, I mean, it's nice. I mean, this is not even your average investor special. This house is, I mean, it's already fixed. It's new. But if he's going to put $100,000 down, my equity position is going to be very, very safe. And so here's what I'm going to do. So I'm under contract to buy this house right now for $430,000. We're closing Friday. And I'm just going to use hard money to buy this house and say, hey, we're going to pay cash for it. We're going to close in 10 days. Yeah, because this way I can, sometimes negotiate a little discount, or if you guys have seen what's going on right now, cash offers are kind of the king. And so I say, yeah, we'll buy it 430,000 cash, and at the end of the day, we'll close in 10 days. And they're like, okay, fine. Okay, in fact, here, let me. I want to draw on this, so let me come back and let me do this. Share PDF, and so I'll buy this house now. I tell Miguel, and I got to speed up the process because I got to get out of here pretty soon. Tell Miguel, all right, if I am to do this for you, I still want to make something for my time and money spent and all that kind of stuff. And so what if you and I share the appreciation of this house for the next, I don't know, 2 to 3 years? Sound fair enough? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And so we basically just said, all right, 430,000 times 1.1, 1.1 equals 473. So on Friday, I will buy this house for 430,000, and on the same day, I will sell it to him for 473 on the same day. And he is going to put an original down payment of 50,000. And so that offsets my down payment. You'll notice that I'm going to put 64,000 down. If Mitch has already talked to you guys about some sweet banking strategies, I'm pulling this out of a HELOC, okay? And the cool thing about this is it doesn't even have to come from my HELOC. I go teach people about some of these HELOC strategies, and I tell them, hey, what are you going to do with that? And they're like, well, I want to invest in real estate. Like, cool. Well, I mean, just like the passive, if I find something, do you want to look at it together? So this is coming out of a HELOC. So $64,000 out of a HELOC, but wait, their $50,000 is going to offset that. And so my out of pocket is only 20 grand. So I'm $20,000 out of pocket at the end of the day. And I go get a hard money loan at 10% interest, no monthly payments, because everything is negotiable. And because I'm very short on time, at the end of the day, I will go and refinance this, just get a traditional 30-year investment mortgage at basically 75%, because that's where the best rates are right now. And again, this doesn't even have to be your credit. I'm already on the phone with people saying like, hey, you want to invest in real estate? You got good credit? Cool, I got a deal. You want to make some money? And so having that conversation with those people, anyways, 377,000. So at the end of the day, because we'll refinance and refinance out the hard money, essentially, then our total cash out of pocket is 21 grand. And I just got quoted 3.5% interest on an investment mortgage like that. And so if we come down to cash flow, I am charging him 7.25% interest to buy this from me. Because if he goes to subprime lending, he's going to pay like 9. So technically I'm giving him a discount. Yeah, if he had good credit, then he's going to go get 3. He's not even going to call me. But it's subprime lending or 7.25. And he's like, oh, I'm going to pick Dane, especially because they're going to put him through the ringer. Anyway, I didn't even pull this guy's credit. I don't care if he's going to put 100,000. Oh, I forgot to mention that second 50,000. And so he is under contract to sell his house right now. They're closing at the end of the month. They're going to receive 90,000 from the sale of their house. And so he's like, hey, I'll give you 50 as soon as the house sells. So 50 today or 50 Friday, 50,000 on Friday, 50,000 as soon as my house sells at the end of November. And so that's where the $100,000 down. And that's even why I'm going to refinance later, because I'm going to refinance after he puts the second $50,000 down. And so anyway, then I charge him the 7.25%. And so his payment is 2,500. My mortgage is the 1,400. Now notice that I've got a wash here of income, because his payment is going to include taxes and insurance, because so is my payment going to include taxes and insurance. And so that just becomes a wash. And so I cash flow $1,100 a month, and I'm not even a freaking landlord. I sold it to him. He's going to fix it if it breaks. He's going to maintain it. If anything goes wrong in his life, he's not going to call me and be like, hey, can I get my refundable deposit back? Like, no, dude, you bought the house. What are you going to do? Sell it? Or are you going to give it back to me? Because you bought this, right? Or if anything goes wrong with the house, he's not going to be like, hey, the garage door is squeaky when it goes up and down, or he's going to, oh, the water heater is broken. I will never get that call because I sold it to him at the end of the day. And so this is my strategy. I like to call it better than a rental, because I'll never take those calls. I don't even have to hire a property manager at the end of the day. And so notice this. The cash on cash, here's where I get most excited. You show me anywhere that can consistently make a 60% cash on cash return, the market, whether the market goes like this or the market goes like this, Miguel owes me a payment. And if he doesn't pay, then he walks away from his $100,000 down payment. Now, obviously not every deal is typical and they don't all look exactly like this, but I mean, in just the last month, I picked up 4 of these and the average down payment was at least 10% of the value of that house. And yeah, this one happens to be like what, 20, 25%, something like that. But still, I mean, I'll do this all day if somebody's putting 10% down. I mean, somebody hand me $25,000 to buy a house for $250,000 or yeah, $250,000. Seller finance from me to them. Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm not a landlord. I just collect bank payments on the first day of the month. Okay. So anyway, I do have to jet. My apologies. I'm gonna have to run out of here. But yeah, I'd love to do this again. Mitch, you just let me know.
Yeah, man, you're a wealth of knowledge. I love it. I'm so impressed. Like, just incredible things you got going, and hey, we still on for the Purple Gym.
If you guys want, in fact, if you guys want, I can chime in on my phone, and if you guys want to ask a few questions while I drive, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll open it up to question and answer right now, and then just hop back in when you're in the car, and we'll wrap up with a question and answer.
Okay. Cool. Sounds good. I'll see you guys in just a minute.
Thanks, Dane.
Okay, bye.
All righty. So what do you guys think? What are the takeaways from this? What are the big things that you're pulling out of the hat here? And there's so much. I mean, that was just like drinking from the fire hose on value there. But come off mute and let's talk about it. And any questions?
I thought it was fascinating. I was curious because it was hard for me to keep track of all of the people that were involved in that deal as far as specifics, because obviously it wasn't just between those two. So it was really fascinating how creative and he can keep track of how to maximize the profit.
Yeah.
That was really interesting to me.
You know, it's really cool. I was hanging out with Dane. In fact, when I asked him to come be on the call, it was about a week ago. And he made a comment to me that kind of like, it kind of rung my bell a little bit. As he said, you know, I'm not really that interested in owning real estate. And I looked at him, I'm like, dude, I've known you for a decade now. And most of the time we've been doing real estate together. So what are you talking about? He's like, no, I don't want to own real estate. I just want to get the payments. Right. And like, that's such a cool mindset that he's developed about, you know, real estate is the tool, but you don't have to own the real estate. Right. Maylee and I have done that in the Airbnb strategy where, you know, we've made up to $4,000 a month cash flow from a single property from real estate we didn't even own. Right. And it just becomes so flexible and we can be so creative with it. Looks like Dane's back with us. So he's just connecting to audio now. But no, it really is. And as we kind of open our minds to all of the different possibilities and all the different strategies that are out there, it really becomes easy as long as you know what you're doing, and as long as you're willing to get out and talk to people. You know, it becomes really easy to make money in the game. So, you know, one of the things that stuck out. Well, first of all, you know, Dane's back on with us. What's up, Dane?
What's up, dude? Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you. You know, Dane pointed out as he was kind of telling his story, his mom would describe him as, what was it? Painfully shy. Does that seem like a painfully shy person to you?
Absolutely not.
But you know what? When I first met Dane, he was painfully shy too. And you know, the reason I point that out, and Dane probably gets sick of me always pointing this out, because I always, whenever I introduce Dane, I always talk about this, but it's so important to realize that we can be whatever we want. All it takes is just a change of mindset, right? We get caught up on these excuses of, well, that's not me. I could never go out and talk to people. I could never go out and ask people for money. I could never this. I wasn't born with this talent. BS, right? You could be, Dane is the perfect example of you could be whatever you want. And whatever the things are that are holding you up, whatever you think your disadvantages, you can get over it. It just takes enough of mindset. There he is. You and the Raptor?
Yep.
Nice.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Coming through loud and clear. So,
Perfect.
you know, one of the things that stuck out to me really about, you know, I mean, the deals are awesome. The strategies that Daine uses are awesome. But Daine talked about how wealth is created. I even wrote this down. Wealth is created through conversation. That is so true. This is a people business, right? And I've never heard it put so eloquently, but that is exactly it. We make money when we're talking to people, because by talking to people, we get deals brought to us. By talking to people, we get money brought to us, right? By talking to people, we get relationships brought to us. And so really, I mean, that you can create a scenario for yourself. And this is in a way kind of where Dane and I are at in our businesses, where you know how many years it's been since I went out and actively looked for deals? I call my network of people who find deals for me and they bring them to me, right? And then, you know, never use my own money in a fix and flip. I have in rentals, but never use my own money in a fix and flip. I call my network of people that want to make double-digit returns for zero work, right? The most work they do is wire the money over. That's it. And then count it when it comes back, right? But it's all about those relationships, and regardless of I was like, what is that sound? Regardless of what side of the deal you're on, there's going to be an advantage. You're going to get paid no matter what. So incredible training, Daine. Loved the conversation piece. That was awesome. And I would have to say, there's no part of me that would describe you as painfully shy anymore.
And if I can speak to that, actually, because I mean, I get people that don't believe me. And I also get people that I like went to high school with, and they see me today and they're just like, Daine, like, what the heck?
Who are you?
And it was because when I understood the concept that all wealth is created through conversation, I was like, dude, I got to reinvent myself. And so, dude, I like changed everything. I changed the way I dressed. I changed the way I cut my hair. I changed the way I was going to say shaves, but dude, I've actually never shaved. I just turned 31 and I've actually never shaved yet. But I just said, you know what, if I'm going to become a different person that acts like a successful person, I got to change inside. I got to change outside. And so I just started saying, you know what does the successful Daine look like? What does the successful Daine talk like? You know, what do I sound like? And I would envision that all the time. Like, what do I look like when I'm successful? How do I, you know, what are my facial expressions? What are my mannerisms when I'm successful? And, you know, how do I cut my hair? How do I dress? Whatever. I just started changing everything into who I really wanted to be. And I'm not saying everybody has to be not shy, because, you know, there's no sin in being a little more shy or timid. There's nothing wrong with that. But I hated it. I hated getting called painfully shy as a kid. And so I was like, you know what? I want to be somebody else. And so I can't remember where I got this from, but I hate personality tests because they're garbage. A personality test is to try and design who you think you are. But I mean, to me, there's no such thing. You create the personality that you want to become. You defy all personality tests, and you become who you want to be. In fact, Mitch and I have a mutual friend named Woody Woodward that talked about that, where, I mean, the only thing it takes to change a personality, if you will, or a personality trait, is if you have a terribly traumatic experience or an absolutely positively dramatic experience. And that changes a person over time. And I guarantee you, if you take a personality test today and then 10 years from now, it's going to be different. Why not design that personality test the way you want it to be at the end of the day? And so you begin changing who you are inside and out. And you become whoever you want to be. It's up to you.
Results. Yeah, no, but it's so true. I mean, we get to decide what the end game is for ourselves. I was actually watching a YouTube video the other day, I like to watch like sciencey things when I get on YouTube. So I was watching this video that was talking about how the human body, I think it was every 2 years, every cell in your body is replaced with another cell. Your cells die, you shed off the old cells, your cells generate new cells, and every 2 years you are technically, physically, a completely different person. And that thought actually kind of dawned on me of, geez, I'm not the person I was 2 years ago physically. Why do I feel like I have to be the person I was in high school or the person I was in college, right? We can make those changes in ourselves for the better or also for the worse, right? But as long as we're cognizant of that and follow those things, follow the vision and the dream of who we want to become, and just start acting like that person, and that's who you'll become. We hear the saying, fake it till you make it. And I always used to say that all the time when I kind of first was starting to hit success, not just in real estate, but also in my coaching career. I'd say, fake it till you make it. People get offended because, well, no, I feel like that's a lie. I'm not, when I say fake it till you make it, that doesn't mean lie to people. Fake it till you make it means act like the person you want to be until you fill those shoes, right? Because you're going to create a vacuum, a mantle for yourself that you're going to take on that you will grow into as long as that's what you focus on. So fake it till you make it. That's exactly what that means. Just go start acting like the person you want to be, and eventually you're going to be that person. So, a lot of the fears, we've talked about this several times on this call. A lot of the things that hold us back from doing what we know we're supposed to do is fear. We may blame it on, well, I'm so busy, and well, my family, and well, my spouse isn't supportive, or whatever the case may be. Those are just excuses. What it really comes down to is fear, right? And the only way to get to get around fear is to take action. We got to go out. We just got to start doing this stuff. If you're scared, if you really whittle it down, and what you're scared of is talking to people about money, talking to people about real estate. If you're scared, well, I'm going to sound like an idiot. Fine, go sound like an idiot, because guaranteed that's just going to be what happens the first few times. Daine talked about that. I talk about it in the classes. You're going to sound like an idiot for a while, but the only way to get through that is to actually do the process and get out on the other side where you're no longer an idiot, right? Because you'll be able to identify, well, here's where I messed up this time, and here's where I messed up the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time. Recognize those, correct them, study, fix it, and then the next time you're not going to make that same mistake again, and eventually you'll get to a point where you're the expert, right? Fake it till you make it. I love it. So now that Daine's back on the call, let's dive back in on any questions around some of the mindset stuff that he shared, some of the deal strategies that he shared. Charlotte, did I answer your question? I'm sorry. Kind of feel like I kind of
well, the question I had was how many people he had involved in that last deal, but I also had a question about if he had any kind of unusual towards HELOCs, because he mentioned that, and I didn't know if it was something special or if it's just explaining them.
Yeah. So on that particular deal, now that I have the means, I'm just taking that one down myself. But before I did, and that's why I talked about get credit partners or get other people's HELOCs and stuff like that, because not everybody has the means today. And because I know I didn't, it took me, 3 or 4 years until I started having enough money coming in where I could afford to put at least a down payment, a new down payment per month on a new deal every single month. And so on this one, I'm just doing it myself. But if I didn't have the money, when I didn't have the money, that's what I would do, is I would talk to other people for credit partnerships. I would talk to other people with their HELOCs. I would talk to other people. Actually, I had a lot of people with low-hanging fruit. In essence, they had money in their savings account. And I was like, well, how much are you making in your savings account? And they're like, 1%, 0.01%. And I was like, dude, how about I 1,000 times that for you and get you 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% even. And so that, and I still do that because like I said, I'm picking more properties than I have the means to do. And so I still do that. On this particular one, though, it's because this one's kind of a home run. I'm just taking it down myself. So I guess that kind of answers your question. And then HELOCs. Well, go ahead. Actually, follow up question.
You just said, well, just you said that you put the down payment on it, but is there what I've heard is that there's a limit of 5 mortgages. You have 100 properties, but you can only have 5 mortgages at one time. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Well, technically the law is 10. It's harder to get past 5, but I actually did my very first real estate deal that I used my personal credit about 3 weeks ago, and that was deal like 90 something. And so I had done 90 some odd real estate transactions as investment properties without ever once using my personal credit. And so it is absolutely not needed. And again, the only reason I'm putting this particular property on my credit. So this will be the second my personal credit. I mean, just because nowadays I can, I finally have the means to do stuff like that. But if I didn't, then I would just be doing what I've always done. I would just find it from somebody else. I'd go find somebody like Debbie, for example, that I shared today. I go find a Debbie or 3 Debbies, and they do, $120,000 each or whatever, and bring other people in on deals like that. So, yes.
So
and then your HELOC question. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's a really good lesson on scale. Dane didn't start out by doing 100 properties, right? He started out by doing 1, but he couldn't even do 1 when he first started. So we had to learn to use other people's resources. If we want to grow, you have to leverage, right? You've got to learn how to use your relationships and use other people's money. Dane still wants to grow. I mean, as far as I know, you're not retiring yet, right, Dane? That's still maybe 6 or 9.
I'm just getting started, I feel like.
But Dane's to a point now where he's how many are you doing at once? 20, 25?
I haven't looked at it in a minute, but typically I have anywhere around 20 properties in the works that we purchased and we're remodeling them or refinancing them or whatever. And so I'm probably sitting on 20 right now that are like under construction or refinance right now.
Yeah. So, it's one of those things, if we want to continue to grow, you've got to continue to leverage and use other people's resources. Dane now can probably do 4 or 5 of those deals on his own, but he wants to grow. And that's why, he developed those skills early on, and it's still something that, that he's doing a day because he's on that growth path. Now, when Dane winds it down and is like, I'm done, we're just going to kind of, kick back and enjoy the fruits of our long, successful, career here in real estate, then he'll probably wind it down and stop using other people's resources. But that's key, right?
The only reason I'm finally using my credit, I just filed my 2019 taxes. I think, the extension allowed me to go to October, I think it was. So I just filed last month. And this was the first year in my entire life that I wrote a check to the IRS that was about a PhD's yearly salary. And so because I had to write a check that big, it's because I made a lot more than I ever have in my life. And I was looking at it, I was like, well, that sucks. I just wrote a fat check to the freaking IRS. And I was looking at it, I was like, you know what? How can I benefit from this? And I was like, well, I've got this huge, what do they call that? AGI now, debt to income. I've got immaculate debt to income because my wife and I paid off our house, and I still maintain 1 loan on my credit, 1 loan on my wife's credit, just to maintain the credit profile. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to freaking start using my credit because it needs to pay for itself. If I'm going to write that big a check to the IRS, my credit better pay for itself. It's got to pull its own weight.
That's right.
And so that's essentially some of these properties are really just to pay the taxes that I'm making in doing other real estate. But start thinking about that maybe 5 years down the road. Well, if you guys do it faster than I did, start thinking about this like 3 years down the road of like picking up deals just to pay taxes.
Now, Daine, I love it when I get to showcase Daine, because Daine was, I was telling Tyson and Ronald this before the call started. Daine was the third student that I ever had. Third. And he's done incredible things. I love it when I get to bring Daine out because he's such a success story, right? And Daine, this is going to sound like an insult when I say I do not mean it this way. I mean it as a compliment, actually.
No worries, brother.
Very, very
5 years ago, I probably would have been pissed. But today, dude, I don't care what anybody says.
I got to tell the other part of that story after I make this comment. But so, for someone who his own mom called painfully shy, for him to go from, and he mentioned he's just coming up on his 5-year anniversary of real estate investing, from becoming a student. Like, that's his first day as a student was November of 2015. And now, with what he shared with us today, I mean, the dude's now done over 100 deals. 5 years later, done over 100 deals, made as much as $95,000 in a month, $98,000 in a month. If you can't see yourself there, and this is where, again, Daine, this isn't an insult. This is a compliment. If
I know where you're going with this.
Coming from where he came from, then I don't think there's any excuse that we can create for ourselves of why we can't, because we all have things like that. We've all got reasons that we point inwardly to ourselves as to why, that we tell ourselves, well, I can't do it because I'm this. I can't do it because I'm painfully shy, right? I can't do it because, who knows what, right? There's no reason in 5 years you can't be telling the same story. And I don't think there's anybody on this call who's going to look at where Daine is today and say, you know what? That just doesn't interest me. $95,000 a month in income, 100 property, like, that's awesome, right? And if I could see that kind of success and lead each and every one of you to that kind of success, that I would. That's my goal. That's why we're here, and that's why I'm doing what I do, because these types of stories, I'm passionate about it. I love seeing people change their life like that. And Daine, it's always a pleasure to have you on, man. We've got maybe time for one or two more questions if anybody has them. If not, we'll wrap up the call. So the time is yours, guys.
And if I may,
yeah.
As soon as we're done answering questions, if I may, I've got a challenge for everybody, and Mitch, I'm sure you'll be okay with it. But I want to make sure I leave everybody with a challenge that I would love to follow up on if you guys will give me the opportunity. But yeah, any questions? I know, I'm not sure who it was, but a gal was asking about HELOCs.
Charlotte.
Who Charlotte? Is she still on?
Yeah.
Charlotte, what was your question about HELOCs?
I just didn't know if you had special strategies for getting HELOCs, or if we're just teaching people the basics about HELOCs and that's how you are raising more money.
So it depends. Some people I would just teach them and like, hey, here's what. And her husband, who I met them maybe a month or two ago, something like that. And I just showed them what I was doing on my house and how I got 2 HELOCs on my house and traded in all my mortgages. And she's like, well, that's awesome. And so she just went and got a $100,000 HELOC. And she's like, well, what do I do with this now? And so now she's like, well, Dane, I don't want to just like twiddle my thumbs and be a bank. I want to get involved. I want to go analyze properties. And so she took my idea on this, I call it my box training, just for lack of a better term. The more you guys get to know me, you'll notice that I'm not good at like naming things. Stuff new else, I just name it the street name of the property that we're buying. But anyway, so I gave her the box training, and she's like, cool, that makes sense. And so she started having conversations, and lo and behold, we're under contract on her first fix and flip property that will be closing, let's see, we're November, next month. So probably around December 15th. because the sellers need to find a house for themselves, and it'll be a longer close. But so she went and got the HELOC for herself, and then I showed her a couple of things, and now she made an offer on that property, and she's going to buy her own property. She's going to fix and flip using her HELOC. And so to me, I always look at it kind of like paying it forward, as if I can show somebody what I've done that's successful, and they can go take that and make money or save money or whatever, then to me that's a win, because it builds my reputation, it builds my name, it builds my credibility. But some of those people are like I got another guy, his name's Brady, and I showed him same thing. He gets the HELOC, he's got like $130,000 HELOC, and he's like, Dane, what do I do with this? And I was like, well, I mean, I look at deals all the time. If you want to look at deals together and piggyback on all the work that I'm doing, then you can just use your HELOC to be a bank on my deals. Your HELOC interest rate is what, 3.5%? I'll pay you like 10%. And so he's like, yeah, sounds good to me. And so he and I have done, I don't know, 6 or 7 deals with his $130,000 HELOC. So does that answer your question, Charlotte, as to what I use HELOCs for, how I do that? Some people I'll help them by holding their hand. Some people I'll just like say, here's the information, go do this yourself.
Yeah, that helps. I just, I know that HELOCs are just for your primary property, but I didn't know if there was any strategies that maximize that, or if you could use it for other properties.
So yeah, I got 2 HELOCs on my house actually. So I had a mortgage. I traded in the mortgage for a first position HELOC, and so that way I had no mortgage and I had 1 HELOC. And then I saw an advertisement for a bank that was saying like, hey, we'll do 100% loan to value HELOCs on primary residences. And I was like, I'm gonna see if I can get that. And so I called them up and I said, hey, I already have a HELOC, but will you guys give me another one? And basically go from my limit all the way to 100% of the value of my home. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. And so I went and got 2 HELOCs on my house. And it sounds like Mitch has been sharing these strategies with you guys where you like dump all the cash on them and use velocity to pay it down. And so I paid them off once, and then I was like, hey, these deals look really good. And I used this, I just maxed both of them back out to pick up properties that are making me, like this one, I mean, 60% return cash on cash. Most of the deals I do, if I'm using my own money, it's something in that range, 60, 70, 100% returns oftentimes. And so I pulled all that cash out and I'm putting it back into more real estate. But you can get investment HELOCs. There are a few banks. They're fewer and far between. You'll probably have to have a lot of conversations in your area with banks and be like, hey, can I get, and sometimes you can't say HELOC because it just depends on the bank. In fact, I learned this from Mitch. Sometimes you have to say, like, can you give me a line of credit on my rental property? Because it's like you're speaking Japanese if you say, can I get a HELOC on my investment property? And they're like, well, a HELOC stands for a home equity line. That's not your home. But so it just depends.
Dane, can you share? Do you have any examples of national banks that you could share the names of that do?
So my first position HELOC is through Alliant Credit Union. They are out of Chicago. I just found them on Google. I just started looking for HELOCs that were offering really good rates, and out of Chicago. And I'd never heard of them before. I just found them on Google. And so they're the ones that have my first position. The second position is a local credit union. They only offer HELOCs in like Utah and Texas or something like that. If anybody is in either of those states, it's called Security Service Federal Credit Union. Those are the ones that do the 100% LTV, but they're only in 2 states, which is kind of stupid. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like, just sit down and Google is your friend. Find every credit union and look through to, oh my God, right here. Find every credit union in your area, every bank in your area, and call them up and say, do you guys offer HELOCs? Tell me about how they work, and you know, maybe like make a list for yourself so you remember all of them. Because I mean, that kind of research, that kind of information, valuable if you're going to be running business in your neighborhood. Like, if anybody asks me for a HELOC here in Utah, I'm like, oh yeah, go to this bank, this bank, this bank, because I did all that research for local. So do that in your own area. Jump on that Google and find who's offering what and how do you get it.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Great question.
No, and that's and it doesn't take as long as you think either. Like I've done plenty of times. I've done research like that. We're talking 20 minutes. Spend a good solid 20 minutes putting together have a spreadsheet in one window and have your browser open in the other window, and spend 20 minutes on Google and just dump every bank in there that you can, right? Spend another maybe hour calling each one of them and ask them flat out, I have a rental property, can you do a HELOC on it? Or in your case, Charlotte, I have a commercial property, can you do a line of credit on it, right? And they're going to say yes or no. The no's, thank you very much, click, right? And then dial the next one. Spend an hour and a half total on that, and you're going to have resources open up to you that you didn't have before. So worth it, absolutely.
I've just done it this past week, and one of the little issues currently is that a lot of people are away on COVID, so you may not get a direct answer immediately, but they'll give you a contact number or they come back at least the following day. So just hang in there.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Cool. I've got to make sure
with the state of our country, what are you? This is both for you. Both Dane and Mitch. I'd love to get both of you to answer. But what are your thoughts with where we're at as a nation? Split kind of down the middle. Where do you see things going, and how are you going to twist and turn and navigate through the
Well, I this is what I talked about last week, so I'll let Dane go first.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it as there always was real estate, there always will be real estate. Everybody needs a place to live, and if you look at history, it has always been that he who owns the real estate are those who are in power. I mean, you look at even like the medieval times. In fact, that's where landlord came from. The term landlord came from all those medieval times, and I'm not like a history buff, and so I'm not going to pretend to say I know exactly where that came from. But landlords, back in the day, it was because they owned land and they were in power. So to me, every single American needs a roof over their head, always. And so I want to capitalize on the first check that the average American has to write every single month. So, and to me, if let's say, because I assume you're asking about like, hey, what if the market crashes? Like, what if we have a 2008 situation? I will never pick up a piece of real estate if, worst case scenario, I had to convert that into a long-term rental property. I won't even touch it. In fact, some of the deals that I've seen Mitch do, and Mitch knows Mitch knows what I'm going to say. Even though Mitch can flip a house and sell it for $900,000 and net profit, I'm trying to remember some of the biggest ones I remember seeing. $200,000 in net profit. At the end of the day, I will maybe do like one of those at a time. In fact, right now I only have one. It's up on the mountain. It's absolutely gorgeous. In fact, my wife is like trying to get me to move in. And so, But every property I will do are ones that if I had to keep it as a rental property long term, if the market goes down, rental demand goes up. And so I basically buy properties as if, worst case scenario, I was going to keep it as a rental property anyway. And that's always been my mindset. I want to be very conservative. I'm not going to chase these big, and that's probably why I've never had a six-figure month yet, because I just do a lot of little deals and cash out, $10, $20, $30,000 a pop and sell, 2 or 3 of them a month. But to me, like every single one of those properties, like right now, we got those 20 properties under construction. And the way that we've structured those, they're all, we got cash. We got cash in every single one of them, paid for in cash. No mortgage payments. Worst case scenario, we convert all of them into rental properties. And so Mitch talks about this. If you guys have ever heard him talk about the debt equity blend, where your backup plan, you structure your backup plan into the deal upon getting into the deal in the front end, using stuff like the debt equity blend. I started that way, and then eventually I started my own hard money company, so that way we just buy them cash ourselves. But even then, that's how I got my start. Debt equity blend, backup plan is keep it as a rental, and once we had cash, we just buy the property cash outright, no mortgage payments, no nothing. And worst case scenario, we keep them as rental properties.
Let me rephrase
so is that the answer to your question?
I'm gonna put it a different way for Jason. Jason, do you want to flip? Would you be happy if you got a flip?
Yeah.
Would you be happy if you got a rental?
I would.
Okay, there you go. So the backup plan on a flip is turned into a rental, right? And so you're happy either way. Like no matter what happens, whether if the market's going like this, flips are going to be amazing. But if while we're holding it, it goes like this, flips are going to suck. Well, great news, we got a rental, and rentals are great during a down market, right? That's why having these strategies and having a full, arsenal of backup plans and what do we do if something goes wrong? What do we do if Biden's president? What do we do if Trump's president? Right? Having all of these backup plans in place, we're okay either way. You're happy with a flip, right? Oh, well, hey, it turned into a rental. You still happy? Yeah, I'm still happy. I'm getting cash flow, right? So the key is just, and we've had these conversations one-on-one. The key is just getting over the fear and the obstacles and just taking action and making it go.
Yeah. So just remember,
you don't have any hesitations either way. I'm sorry. I feel like my delay is
no, you're
kind
good,
of bad.
Jason.
But in terms of whatever personality ends up in office, obviously that's going to change a lot either way. But are there, is there any concerns either side, either way? Is it going to slow you guys down at all in any way, or is it just pedal to the metal? Like nothing slowing you down.
At this point, no. Like, I understand that he who owns the real estate is in control, and so I'm pedal to the metal. Now, if I was just brand new, then yeah, I feel like I would probably be a little bit nervous, like, oh, what's going to happen? But at the end of the day, what I found, in fact, was funny because when I first started working with Mitch, that's when Donald Trump got into office, and I remember, everybody's like, oh my God, everyone's freaking out because this non-career politician just made it into office, and everybody's like, oh, like, we're moving to Canada. All the things happens every election. Everyone's going to say they're moving to Canada, whatever. But real estate will always be here. Real estate will always be needed. Blockbuster went out of business because they came up with something better. Netflix put Blockbuster out of business. And in fact, the last Blockbuster I saw was actually it was only like a year ago, and it was like a museum. Legit, like they turned it into like a museum. Like, hey, like remember Blockbuster? I think it's out in like Oregon or something like that. Anyway, Real estate, like what could they come up with that would cause real estate to go out of style? I can't think of anything other than they're like, oh, like let's move to the moon. But even then, it's real estate. And so it will always be, real estate will always be around. People will always need a place to stay. Now, let me also say this though. Real estate demand will go up and down. I mean, if you were investing in, I mean, let's say like Detroit back in 08, then yeah, real estate demand in Detroit, Michigan, people were moving out like crazy. The mobs, the gangs were like, they would show up and be like, hey, we own this street now. Who cares? I've got some friends who have some horror stories like that, where they bought a house in Detroit for like $10,000 and they went to go look at it for the first time. And they meet a guy that's like walking up and down the street, and he shows up, or he starts talking to the guy, and he's like, oh yeah, we just bought this house. You from the neighborhood? And the guy turns and looks at him in the eye, and he's like, I own all these houses. And he was like one of the big gang members. And so the guy's like, he like walked away. He's like, and so he lost 10 grand because he bought this cheap house, but he didn't do his research. He didn't know what he was buying. Typically, if you know your market, because you live there. I mean, this guy's from Utah that was telling me this story, and he's buying properties in Detroit. But if you know your market and you live there, then I guarantee other people are going to live there too. And you can capitalize on that. And so why not be in that position where you hold your hand out to take that first check that the average American writes every single month? People are paying it everywhere, all day, every single month on the first day. Why not put yourself in that position?
So do you think you guys will ever develop land?
No, I don't care to. I would rather, I think I took this from Robert Kiyosaki. When I pick up a real estate deal, I want to get paid fast. I want to like this deal that I'm picking up on Friday. I already have a tenant. I haven't even bought the house yet, and I already have a tenant lined up. And so my first check will be the very next month. When I do real estate, I like to get paid fast. And yeah, like I'll admit, like I will not have as big a paychecks as developers. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that. But I like to be lazy. In fact, I love how every time I talk to Mitch, he always has something to help me develop a little bit more. And he's like, Dane, stop calling yourself lazy. Start calling yourself efficient. And so I want to be efficient. And I'm okay taking efficiency and a smaller paycheck on each deal. And that applies to like fix and flips or rental properties or whatever. Like with a flip, I mean, my paycheck can be 3 months away, maybe 4 months away. On a development deal, I mean, oftentimes it can be a heck of a lot more. But so more time, more risk, bigger paycheck. Right. But again, that's a personal preference.
Yeah, ups and downs in every.
I think I heard Mitch say. Yeah.
But it sounds like Nick, you were saying that you are interested.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something in the near future, but you know, it's I don't know. I wouldn't say no if the right deal came along, right? So it's you know, but like Dane said, it's personal preference. Dane wouldn't, I would. Dane just, you know, he acknowledged that there's money to be made in land development. It's not his cup of tea, and that's okay, right? So, but yeah, look, Jason, and actually everybody, there's money to be made in every corner of real estate. And if Dane hasn't shown you that there's creative strategies, you know, that are out there that we just don't know about yet, you're yet to learn them, right? There's money to be made all over. There's not a wrong sector of real estate. Every deal is a good deal if you have the knowledge. It's only a bad deal if you don't have the knowledge, right? If you go out and do land development tomorrow without any education around land development, you're going to screw up, and that's going to be a bad deal. But a land developer with 30 years of experience could take on that same exact property for the same exact price at the same exact time and make a home run out of it. And the difference is the amount of knowledge that he has versus the amount of knowledge that you have, right? So, fill in the blank. Every strategy is a good strategy as long as you know what you're doing. As long as you got the exit strategies, as long as you're managing your risk, all of it. So we are out of time. In fact, we're 10 minutes over, so I apologize to all the spouses in the background. But Daine, thank you so much for coming on today. That was absolutely incredible. Best call we've had in a minute. So I'm excited to see what you've got planned in the Absolutely.
Yeah. So first of all, Mitch, are you cool if I come back a week from today? You guys do this every week, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you cool if I come back a week from today? Absolutely. And I'll do it on one condition, and every single hand needs to be raised, or I want confirmation from every single person on the call. When I come back next week, I want to hear from every single one of you guys, and I want to hear one story. One, that's it. I want to hear one story of a real estate investing conversation that you had basically between today and next Thursday. So in the previous 7 days, one conversation that you've had around real estate investing. I do not care who it's with or where it stemmed from. If it's your spouse, I might slap you, because you should be having real estate conversations with your spouse every day.
Doesn't care.
But one real estate investing, I don't care if it's a homeowner, I don't care if it's a realtor, a title agent, a contractor, somebody that you're going to buy a house from, you make an offer, somebody that you're going to raise money from, I don't care. Have a real estate investing conversation and be the detective to see which box this person might be in, and see if you can get yourself to either make a mistake or get stuck, have the deer in the headlights phase. I want to hear those stories, and how about we go through each and every one of you guys, and you'll tell your story, because I guarantee you're gonna open up an opportunity to be taught, to take yourself to the next level. And I want to help every single one of you guys with that. So we'll go through your conversations, and I'll be able to bring up either situations where I was in the same situation, or other stories, or give you feedback. I mean, anything to help you take yourself to the next level. Will everybody challenge accepted? Will everybody accept the challenge between today and next
Gene's in, Jason's in. We got a handful of others. Daine, I just took a screenshot of the list of participants here. So next week we can we can put them under the microscope and hold them accountable.
Cool.
So,
and everybody that either ducked out early today, or everybody that wasn't there today and they're going to be there next week, they're going to be like, "Whoa, what did you guys do last week?" and they're going to be so jealous. But at the same time, they're going to be grateful that they watch you in the hot seat develop into the next level of you, the next version of you. So I figured you'd be okay with that, Mitch, but I will see you guys in a week from today. Same time, same place.
Thank you so much for your time. Daine, amazing as usual. Thank you. We'll see you all back next week to hear more from Daine, and then we'll do a question and answer call. And I've got a couple of things I want to chat with you guys about. So a couple of strategies that we want to talk about moving into this new year. So thank you all. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe. I love you all. Talk to you later.